The deep guttural roar of the jet engines filled the air, a relentless vibration that echoed through my chest and swallowed every other sound. The heat from the tarmac radiated in thick, suffocating waves, mingling with the sharp scent of burning fuel that clung to the back of my throat. The sky, once painted in warm hues of twilight, had begun its slow descent into darkness, the last traces of sunlight stretching long, distorted shadows across the concrete at the base of the stairs leading up to the private jet. I stood motionless, my gaze locked onto the woman at the top. She was poised in the dim glow of the cabin lights, her figure sharp against the backdrop of the sleek aircraft. There between us felt charged, humming with unspoken words. But Sophia's expression remained impassive, unreadable. Only family is permitted. She said, her tone carrying no hesitation, no room for argument. The word birds drifted through the space between us, their weight slow to settle. At first they barely registered, as if my mind refused to acknowledge them, refused to accept the reality of what she had just said, but then, like a slow-moving tide, the meanings, ank in each syllable, clawing into my chest, deep and merciless. A laugh, sharp, humorless, escaped my lips before I could stop. It not amusement, not disbelief, just sheer astonishment at the audacity of it all. That's a joke, correct? I asked, my voice leveled, despite the storm raging beneath the surface. Sophia tilted her head slightly, considering me for a brief moment, but her expression never wavered. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. Only board members and their families are on the list, she repeated, her voice clipped, professional. This is a strategic business retreat. Don't take it personally. I felt my jaw tighten, a slow, simmering heat spreading through my veins. Don't take it personally, as if this wasn't personal, as if the decision to cut me out, to erase me, had been made on nothing more than corporate strategy. She exhaled sharply, the smallest flicker of impatience crossing her face, as if I was the one being unreasonable, as if I was a burden standing in her way. Don't turn away from the man who built your empire by hand. And I said, my voice quieter now, but no less sharp. I took a slow, deliberate step back, my eyes scanning the interior of the jet. The cabin was filled with familiar faces, executives I had hired, employees I had mentored, people who had once looked to me as their leader. Yet as I met their gazes, there was no recognition, no acknowledgement to them. I was already gone. Sophia didn't spare me another glance as she turned her posture, unwavering at her unspoken command. Her aide moved closer, a subtle yet unmistakable signal to security. The absurdity of it all nearly made me laugh again. Instead, I stepped back once more, watching in silence as the jet door sealed shut. The engines roared louder, drowning out everything else, and the aircraft began its slow roll forward. I remained standing unmoving as the plane ascended, my gaze fixed on the shrinking silhouette against the darkening sky. When I finally turned away, the reflection in the terminal's glass caught my eye. The man staring back at me was a stranger. His face was unreadable, his posture rigid, his eyes hollow with realization. But this was not the face of a man who had been defeated. This was the face of a man who was about to make sure. She regretted everything. Sophia thought she had erased me. Then she had won that. She had rewritten history in her favor. She had just made the biggest mistake of her life, because if she truly wanted Magoni from Hypersync, I would go one step further. I would take it from her. And when she had nothing left, when the world finally saw her for what she was, I would watch as the empire she stole from burned to the ground. By morning, the first cracks had already begun to show. At precisely 8:15 a.m., my phone buzzed with an incoming message. I glanced down at the screen, my lips curling into a smirk as I read the frantic text asterisk. She's freaking out, trying to call an urgent meeting, but nobody can access anything. What did you do? The board is losing it. Asteris calmly. I tapped out my response. Asteris just reminding them who built the system. Asterisk. Sophia had always been meticulous, efficient. She wasted no time in assembling a team of specialists, government encryption experts, top-tier cyber security analysts, even reaching out to former employees she had managed to retain after my departure. But none of it mattered, because the system wasn't just locked. It was locked at the DNA level. The override was deeply embedded, woven into the very foundation of Hypersync's infrastructure. Every attempt at access RAL was met with the same unyielding blockade. was an adaptive system self-repairing, self-correcting designed to counteract any interference by 10 a.m. The board finally realized the severity of the situation. My phone rang again this time. It wasn't Sophia, it was Aaron. I let it ring twice before answering. Taking my time, Aaron. His voice was strained, the usual confidence barely holding together. Despite our rig measures, we've encountered a technical complication. I assume you're aware of it? I leaned back in my chair, letting the silence stretch. Then the control professionalism cracked, replaced by something raw. What the devil are you doing? The entire business is under lockdown. We're losing millions. I glanced at my laptop screen, watching the numbers plummet. Hypersync. Stock price was in free fall. The chaos had fully set in. Are you ranting or are you requesting my professional expertise? A begrudging exhalation. The first sign of surrender. We need your assistance there. It was the words I had been waiting for. I let them hang in the air for a moment before repeating them back, my voice locked with quiet amusement. You need my assistance. Sophia had made it clear that I was no longer part of Hypersync, but Aaron's next words, they sealed her fate. They had never actually removed my name from the core system. A miscalculation, a fatal oversight. There was a misunderstanding. He admitted we should keep this private. I let out a quiet chuckle. You let her erase me. You humiliated me. You stripped me of my influence, and now that everything is falling apart, you want my help. Silence. Then at last, being inevitable, what do you want by noon? Sophia cracked. She arrived at my doorstep, pristine as ever in her designer suit, but for the first time since this war began, something in her eyes had changed. Fear. She exhaled, sharply. Aaron, I don't have time for games. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Oh, but you had time to raise me from my own company. Her jaw tightened. She hesitated. Then she forced herself to calm down. We can fix this. I tilted my head. Can we pause a swallow? I made a mistake. He leaned in, voice quiet. Dangerous, you already lost Sophia. And then without another word, I shut the door in her face.